Some towns are known for their charm, their traditions, and their close-knit communities. But what happens when that very closeness hides a truth so dark, no one dares to speak it aloud? In the heart of rural America lies a forgotten town, a place that tourists pass through without ever stopping, a place where missing posters fade on telephone poles and where silence has become a way of survival. On the surface, it looks ordinary. But once the sun sets, the shadows whisper a different story. This isn't just about hauntings. It's about a darkness that thrives on fear and prejudice. The town of Marigold, tucked between farmlands and endless forests, looked like it was frozen in the 1950s. A single gas station, a diner that smelled of burnt coffee, and streets so empty you could hear your own footsteps echo. Outsiders rarely stopped, and when they did, they never stayed long. What made Marigold unusual wasn't just its eerie stillness. It was the way its residents carried themselves. Their gazes lingered too long, their smiles never reached their eyes, and behind every polite hello was a warning no one dared to say aloud. The town had a history that was never written in newspapers. People of color who passed through often reported feeling unwelcome, followed, or even threatened. Decades ago, rumors spread that several families who had tried to settle here mysteriously disappeared. Local police dismissed it as coincidence, but everyone in Marigold knew the truth. The land had a memory, and the town had secrets it refused to bury. When Malik, a young black journalist, drove in late one evening, he wasn't searching for ghosts. He was chasing a lead. Reports of missing travelers had resurfaced online, whispers of modern-day hate crimes disguised as accidents. Malik believed Marigold was hiding something bigger than old prejudice. He checked into the only motel, unaware that every step he took brought him closer to a story that wanted to remain untold. At first, Marigold greeted Malik with uneasy hospitality. The motel clerk's hands trembled slightly when passing him the key. At the diner, conversations hushed when he entered. The stares were sharp, not the casual curiosity of a small town, but something heavier, laced with hostility. He noticed missing person flyers tacked on a bulletin board near the restroom, faces of people who looked eerily like him, young, black, traveling alone. As night fell, Malik began piecing together old reports. Families of color vanished in the 70s and 80s, and more recently, solo travelers never reached their destinations. Each case was dismissed as an accident, cars swerving off rural roads, drownings in nearby rivers, or simply lost hikers. But the pattern was undeniable. Someone or something in Marigold was ensuring they never left. Walking through town, he passed an abandoned church. Its doors creaked open, revealing walls covered in faded murals. But when Malik shone his flashlight, he saw names carved into the wood. Hundreds of them. They weren't parishioners. They were memorials. The air turned icy, and for a moment Malik swore he heard whispers behind him. He dug deeper and uncovered chilling stories. In the 1930s, Marigold was the site of lynchings. In the 1950s, entire black families were forced out. The town's prosperity was built on exclusion and fear. But the deeper horror wasn't just history. It was how silence allowed it to continue. The descendants of those who once committed the acts still lived there. Their smiles hid bloodlines that thrived on keeping others out. Every clue Malik uncovered tightened the noose of tension. The motel room felt colder each night. Shadows shifted in the corners, as if watching him. On his third night, he woke to find his car vandalized, tires slashed, windows cracked, scrawled in red across the windshield. "Leave before we finish what we started." But Malik didn't leave. He couldn't. He knew if he walked away, more people would vanish into Marigold's silence, and the town was counting on it. Determined, Malik returned to the abandoned church with his camera. This time, he wasn't alone. Footsteps echoed in the pews, though the doors hadn't moved. He lifted his flashlight, catching glimpses of pale faces in the shadows. Residents of Marigold, silently watching. They weren't trying to scare him. They were warning him. Deeper inside, he discovered a hidden basement. The air was suffocating, thick with mold and something far worse: decay. Old suitcases lined the walls, children's toys scattered on the floor, and in the center, a pit filled with dirt and unmarked gravestones. His chest tightened. These weren't just missing people. This was where they had been buried. Suddenly, the church door slammed shut above him. The basement lights flickered. In the darkness, Malik heard the voices, hundreds of them, crying, begging, whispering his name. He realized the town wasn't only haunted by history, it was haunted by its victims. And now the spirits demanded to be heard. As he tried to escape, the townspeople appeared at the top of the stairs, blocking his way. Their faces were calm, cold, and familiar. These weren't strangers. They were the descendants of those who had once carried out these acts. They weren't haunted. They were protectors of the silence. Malik stumbled back, the voices rising into screams, and he finally understood. Marigold wasn't cursed. It was complicit. Days later, Malik's camera was discovered near the abandoned church. The footage, grainy, fragmented, showed his terrified face, his desperate voice whispering, "The truth is here. Don't let them bury it again." His body was never found. Locals said he simply left town. But in the diner, whispers grew. People swore they saw him in reflections, his figure standing behind them in the church's broken windows, his shadow cast across motel walls. Marigold's silence endured, but something had shifted. Outsiders began asking questions. Journalists dug into the town's history. Every time someone tried to cover the past, another unexplained sound, another ghostly figure forced it back into the light. The horror of Marigold wasn't just in the missing people or the haunted church. It was in how easily injustice can be hidden when everyone agrees to look away. Racism didn't just vanish with time, it adapted, disguised itself as tradition, and lived on in silence. The town remains, the church still stands, and travelers still disappear. But the question lingers. How many towns like Marigold exist across the country, where history is buried not in books, but in shallow graves? And when the past comes back to haunt us, will we listen? Or will we, too, choose silence?